You're listening to The Sports Moment, January 29th, 2024. Part of the Sports Moments and Memories with Craig Olson podcast. Be sure to like and subscribe so you never miss a sports moment. Sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Super Bowl 58 is set. How about it? The fourth time in 5 years the Kansas City Chiefs are going to the Super Bowl. And this year, maybe the most surprising of all of their appearances, because in the regular season, they looked more vulnerable than at any time since Patrick Mahomes became their starting quarterback in 2018. Yesterday, though, they scored a touchdown on each of their first two possessions, and then they held on to beat the Baltimore Ravens 17-10. They caused a fumble at the goal line, picked off a pass in the end zone, stopped a couple of great opportunities for the Ravens, and wind up in their fourth Super Bowl in the last 5 years. They'll be in Las Vegas taking on the San Francisco 49ers, who have been installed as 2.5-point favorites, and that game is on February 11th. The Chiefs, who beat the Philadelphia Eagles in Super Bowl 57 last season, are seeking to be the first team to repeat as Super Bowl champions since the 2004 New England Patriots. And how about Travis Kelce? Yeah, yesterday during the game, he broke Jerry Rice's record of 151 career playoff receptions. He had 11 catches for 116 yards and a touchdown. So pretty impressive. And Patrick Mahomes, talking about impressive, in the 3 playoff wins, Mahomes has 5 touchdown passes, no interceptions. Gotta love that, too, if you're a Kansas City Chiefs fan. So the 49ers were down 24-7 at halftime, and it looked like Detroit was going to make their first Super Bowl appearance in the history of the franchise. However, the 49ers rallied. Dan Campbell, a couple of gambles that didn't pay off, going for it on fourth down, and when he should have taken some points, as it turns out, and kicked that field goal. But he's kind of stubborn that way, and the Lions have had great success going for it on fourth down. But when you're a step away from the Super Bowl, where you've never been before, I might have been a little more cautious, taking the points and seeing what happened. But San Francisco beat Detroit 34-31, and the 49ers are headed to the Super Bowl. They played in 2020 against the Chiefs and lost to the Chiefs in that Super Bowl. So it should be fun on February 11th when those two teams get together in Las Vegas. Well, Lake Area Docks and Lifts is one of our sponsors, of course. They had a couple of great boat shows over the weekend at the Fargo Dome and last week at the Minneapolis Convention Center. And they're ready, and they're getting you ready for spring and summer with 5 locations to serve you. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Lake Area Docks and Lifts, more than just docks and lifts. Lake Area Docks and Lifts.
Well, over the weekend, the Minnesota Gopher men's basketball team put together a great game at Penn State. They hadn't won at Penn State since 2018. Well, they won on Saturday. They beat the Nittany Lions 83-74, rallying from a 16-point second-half deficit to snap their 4-game losing streak. And Minnesota is now 13-7 overall, 4-5 in the Big Ten. They will be in action on Saturday when they host Northwestern at 1 o'clock at Williams Arena. The Gophers, Dawson Garcia scored a game-high 20 points. Cam Christie had 19 and a career-high 8 rebounds. And the Gophers also had 3 other players in double figures. Joshua Ola-Joseph finished with 14 points, 5 rebounds. Parker Fox had 11 points and a season-high 4 blocked shots. And Mike Mitchell Jr. added 11 points. Also, Elijah Hawkins finished with a strong floor game. He had 8 points, 6 rebounds, and 5 assists. A very good win for the Gopher men's basketball team on the road. Timberwolves have a big challenge tonight. Right now they are tied with Oklahoma City for the best record in the West at 32-14. However, Oklahoma City is in first place ahead of the Wolves because of the head-to-head competition so far. Oklahoma City has won 2 of the 3 meetings between the two teams. So it's a huge game for the Wolves tonight to even the season series against Oklahoma City. Hopefully they can get that done this evening. And the Minnesota Wild are off, along with a lot of NHL teams now. A lot of them will be playing tonight or tomorrow, but then come Wednesday, everybody's on the All-Star break, the extended break. The Wild don't play again until they go to Chicago on Wednesday, February 7th. That is their next game after this long break. Well, and talking about hockey, over the weekend, I should mention that the Fergus Falls hockey teams were involved in road action, and the Otter girls just played really well against the defending AA state champions, and that's Gentry Academy. And the Otters got shut out 1-0 in that one. Anna Jerkis was outstanding in goal, but 1-0 Gentry Academy with the win. Each team had 19 shots in that game, so that was a balanced attack for both teams with opportunities, and that's the kind of competition Tim Lill wants for his team. He wants his team to play those strong opponents, and the AA state champion last year gave the Otters an opportunity to see what they need to work on and where they are playing well. And the place where they need to work a little more is their power play. I think Tim has said a number of times that they need better production on the power play, and hopefully they can work that out because they've got one regular season game left. That's Thursday against Northern Lakes, and then they start the playoffs next Tuesday. So the girls' hockey season is the first season to enter the postseason. And the boys' hockey team was down in Rochester Friday night. They lost 8-3 to Rochester Century John Marshall, but they bounced back on Saturday against Mankato East and wound up with an overtime loss. They were ahead 6-5 late in the game. Mankato East tied the score at 6 with 55 seconds remaining and then won it in overtime. 7-6 was the final score. And in that game, Kellen Stenstrom scored 5 goals for the Otters. He's been their leading scorer. I think that gives him 18 on the year. So really, he had it going that day, and it was a shootout, but the Otters came up just short at 7-6 in that contest. And also, the Otters were in action with some wrestling competition going on. The young Otters, the 7th through 9th graders, were involved in some competition over the weekend. And a lot of good things happening there, and we'll check it out in just a moment. But first, I want to remind you, you can visit Pemberton Law online at pemlaw.com or one of their convenient locations around the lakes area in Fergus Falls, Wadena, Detroit Lakes, and Alexandria. They are here to serve you. Pemberton Law carries a legacy of trustworthy and reputable legal representation dating back to 1883, and we appreciate them being a part of what we're doing here on the podcast. We had a feature podcast on the Lady Spartans 2000-2001 National Championship, and we're going to be putting together another feature podcast which will follow the history of Otter Boys hockey. We're looking to connect with several of the Otter Boys hockey coaches through the years and several of the players who have made an impact on the program as well. So be looking for that in mid-February or so through our podcast, wherever you view your podcasts. And by the way, back to the wrestling, Fergus Falls finished 5th out of 18 teams at the MNGWL Region 8 Individual State Qualifier on Saturday. The Otters had 10 of 15 weight classes filled in that event, and Adam Schlepp was very happy the way his guys performed as they took 5th place. And coaches Lucas Oliphant and Seth Langbeen were present in Monoman with the 7th through 9th graders, and 7 of the 10 wrestlers actually placed in the top 6 in their weight classes. And Caleb Froning, who won the individual state championship at 132 pounds last year, is looking to win another title at 145 this year. So Caleb went out and had a very good performance, and will be going back as he placed first at 145, and will have that opportunity to move on and compete at a higher weight class at 145 now. Trygve Ringdahl placed second at 189, and Nolan Field was a champion at 285 for the Otter wrestlers. Austin Longoria at 139, Aiden Moan at 133. They were both fourth-place finishers, and a couple of eighth-place finishes as well. Levi Budke at 107 and Ian Coons at 121. So good performance by the Otters. The 7th through 9th graders taking 5th out of 18 teams in that Minnesota Wrestling Tournament, that Region 8 individual state qualifier. So it was a busy weekend, and we're off to a busy week here as we are about to turn the calendar to February, and the playoffs are just a week away, starting with girls hockey, and then other sports will follow quite quickly as we look toward the postseason. Hey, thanks for joining us on our podcast. Thanks to Lake Area Docks and Lifts and Pemberton Law for their involvement, and we'll talk again tomorrow.
You've been listening to The Sports Moment with Craig Olson, sponsored by Pemberton Law and Lake Area Docks and Lifts. Produced by Sunroom Lab. Music by Blue Red Roses. Subscribe wherever you get your podcasts, and thanks for listening.